Let me give you my card.
All right, you guys, we're going to call this meeting to order.
Sorry.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to re-adjourn from closed session. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Lowenstein.
Here.
Councilmember Obaji.
Here.
Councilmember MD.
Here.
Councilmember Horvath absent. Councilmember Brandt absent. Mayor Brandt absent, and Mayor Pro Tem Nierenheim.
Here. All right, thank you. Do we have any announcements from closed session?
None this evening.
All right, so therefore I'd like to adjourn to a regular meeting at 6:04 p.m. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember Lowenstein.
Here.
And then Councilman Horvath is on Zoom.
Here.
Thank you. Councilmember Obaji.
Here.
Councilmember MD.
Here.
Mayor Brandt absent, and Mayor Pro Tem Nierenheim.
Here. All right, so we're going to do a salute the flag and a moment of silence directly thereafter. So please stand. On three. 1, 2, 3.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. No?
Okay.
All right, tonight we have a special night tonight. A lot of people in the house. We're going to honor 3 employees, longtime employees who have been serving us for a while. We want to give them some recognition, some special thanks, recognition. And they're all from our public safety division. So can we bring Division Chief Jason May down here? Are you here? Come on down. First person I'd like to bring down is Greg Allen. Come on down. All right, so Greg Allen, you've been one of our firefighters, paramedics for Redondo Beach, and you're hanging out your turnouts for 21 years now here in Redondo. And you started in Redondo as a fire explorer program in the mid-1980s. It's such a common theme for so many public safety employees starting off as in explorers. And so you worked at Little Company Mary, McCormick Ambulance, and served Manhattan Beach as a fire inspector in the 1990s. And then you joined Redondo Beach as a fire inspector in 2001. Don't worry, it's not for you.
I still laugh about it.
And then you served as a plan checker and arson investigator after being promoted to the position of firefighter paramedic in 2004. And you served on the South Bay Arson Task Force from 1995 to the present with the only certified fire investigator for the city of Redondo Beach. And throughout the time you've been here, you've been deployed to 8 different wildland fires, disaster fires, across the state. You've been paramedic preceptor training for 6 paramedics, training our young, and an instructor at El Camino, UCLA Dano Paramedic Freeman School, and California Conference of Arson Investigators. It's impressive. And you are the longest serving president of Redondo Beach Firefighters Association. And as a quick note on that, I think he's the only union to ever present a check to the city. Born and raised in Torrance, graduated from West High. You're a true South Bay boy. Chief May, a few words?
It'd be an honor. Well, congratulations, Greg, for reaching the finish line, serving the city so proudly. I'll share a couple words with all of you this evening. In my time with Greg, we've followed each other's careers very closely. I'll share with you something that he doesn't remember, and probably nobody else here knows, but Greg is the first member of the Redondo Beach Fire Department that I ever met. When I went to paramedic school in the year 2000, Greg was working as an instructor for UCLA Daniel Freeman Paramedic School and stepped in and tested me on all of my skills, validated me, and then impressed me with his base of knowledge. That was the first time I met Greg as a teacher and have worked closely with him since he hired on with the fire department. We follow each other very closely. He taught me what it means to be an association president during my 2 rotations on our association board. Greg was the president at that time, taught me how to negotiate, taught me how to work with the city, and expanded my network throughout the city. More recently, when I promoted the position of division chief, I moved into the fire marshal position, which I was a floor firefighter, didn't know anything about fire prevention, and Greg was a great mentor and teacher to me in my tenure as the fire marshal with the city of Redondo Beach. So, Greg, it's been an incredible honor and pleasure to work with you. You've taught me so much, and every member of our organization, and I think a lot of people in the city, all about the fire department, what we do, and how to do it correctly. So, congratulations, Greg. It's a huge achievement.
Yeah, you know. Thanks to those who got me here, kept me here, and got me out the back door. That's
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Let's get a photo. We have our, oh, there you right there. Right up. Perfect. Thank you, sir. Awesome. There you go. You run back and forth. All right. The next person we have is Eric Paulson. Come on down. So for you, we get a key to the city for your 32 years of service here at Redondo Beach. You've been a fire captain for us, and you were born in Montana, but raised in Torrance. Yep. Another South Bay boy. So an alumni of Torrance High School, graduated from Cal State Dominguez Hills with a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Management in 1985. And prior employment working here in Redondo, you worked in TRW Finance and Accounting. This job is not the same.
This wasn't happening, so yeah.
Joining the Redondo Beach Fire Department in 1980, you served at the rank of firefighter for 25 years, assigned to both engine and truck companies.
1990.
1990? Oh, 1990. Okay. Eric, you promoted to the rank of fire captain on June 11th, 2014, and spent the majority of your office tenure in Fire Station 1 on Truck 61. Captain Paulson holds his company officer and chief officer certificates award from the California State Fire Marshal's Office. It's impressive. Captain Paulson's retirement year, Redondo Beach Fire Department will be losing a tremendous source of institutional knowledge and heritage. That's for sure. We're losing a lot of our employees who have been around for a long time. So members of Captain Paulson, ranking officer, but Eric also been an organizational pillar for senior members of the organization, mentoring guide for younger members through life's challenge, an example of being a selfless father. After 32 years of service, Eric, you look forward to getting in fit, staying in fit. I'm not sure how that works because you already are in fit. We want to wish you a wonderful retirement with your 2 kids. Chief May, a few words.
Absolutely. It's an incredible honor to get to talk about Eric in front of everybody today. Eric's taught me 2 really important things, and he's taught everybody in our organization 2 really important things. The first one, and one that I'll carry with me my entire career, is the importance of family and putting your family first and doing right by everybody that is back home supporting you. From the first day on the job to every action that he's taken to everything he's done in the fire station, it's always been in support of his family. It's easy with our careers and sports and our personal interests to forget about the people at home. But Eric has shown me and taught me the importance of taking care of your family from my first day in the door. And I think every single person on this fire department understands how Eric has put family first and how important that is over the balance of our career. So thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
The second story I'll share with you, and I won't get too long-winded, is I will never forget learning how to be an engineer. And none of this comes natural to me, but I had to learn how to back in the ladder truck, which, there's a tiller person that drives the back of the ladder truck, and the engineer drives the front, but the tiller person backs in. And mechanical stuff doesn't come very natural to me. It takes 100 reps to get it right. And Eric, over the course of 2 evenings, went through probably 100 reps while he taught me how to back the truck in from the tillerman position. So it was a testament to his patience and his commitment to the organization when we did that. I will never forget his patience and, no, you're too far right, no, you're too far left, we're gonna hit the station. We didn't hit the station. Didn't damage anything, and he taught me how to do it right. So.
No paperwork. That's my goal.
No paperwork. We like that in the fire department. So, Eric, thank you for teaching us how important family is, always putting that as your top priority, and being patient with all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm good with that there. I'm good.
All right. Here's your key, and it's
Cool. It looks amazing. Thank you.
all right.
That's my daughter.
All right, Chief, come on down. So our last one here is for Officer Bill Turner. Where are you? Come on down. You're going to be missed. Of course, you're in uniform.
I was working up till a couple minutes ago.
So, Officer Turner, you've been retiring for 29 years of service. It's impressive. I mean, very, very impressive. Grew up in South Bay, graduated from South Bay High School, or South High School, excuse me, and later Cal State Long Beach, another South Bay boy. Began your career at the police department in January 1990 when you were hired as a police cadet, another cadet. So that's just a usual thing here. It's awesome to see. It was 1993, you were promoted to full-time police officer and attended Orange County Sheriff's Department Recruit Training Academy. And this academy is one of the toughest in the nation. And while you were there, you performed excellently and earned a reputation that to this day is still talked about. So,
Probably should stop doing
so upon the academy, Bill completed patrol field training and earned many different assignments in the patrol bureau. And you quickly realized the importance of traffic investigation and enforcement and developed a passion for it. Let me tell you, at my community meeting last night, and it was all about traffic and enforcement, and it makes a big difference. The community really, really appreciates that. So you worked there for 22 years since July of 2000, and you worked to develop an impressive resume in the field of traffic enforcement. And Bill, you hold certificates in advanced traffic collision investigations and is the department's motorcycle officer trainer. Developed unmatched skills for riding the police motorcycle, and this is impressive. At the department's annual open house, Officer Turner displayed his abilities as riding a figure-8 pattern while sitting backwards on the motorcycle. While Officer Turner has accumulated over 130,000 miles on the police motorcycle and has written over 21,000 citations, the community thanks you. He is built. Oh man. He's built strong relations with law enforcement community locally and throughout our nation. So you've received numerous commendations over the years. However, one particularly important when he was responded to a scene of a traffic accident and provided immediate life-saving measures to an injured person. Officer Turner placed a tourniquet on the injured person's leg to stop the excessive bleeding and provided life support until paramedics arrived. The injured man's life was saved due to your quick thinking that you did. So thank you. Many of the commendations that you've earned were for his excellence, knowledge, and professionalism. Officer Turner, your great attitude, hard work, knowledge, and great service will be greatly missed in the city of Redondo Beach. Chief?
So when somebody's going to retire, often we'll come up and make comments about them. And we'll prepare notes because we don't know them that well. But with Bill, it's very different. So I've worked for Redondo Beach now for 29 years. And I've been friends with Bill for 29 years. So when I first got hired and got out of the police academy, I transferred down to the pier. And Bill was my first partner in this police department in the mid-90s. So a lot of the growth and development that I've had growing up in this department, I owe to Bill and the professionalism that I learned from him. He did pepper spray me once in the mid-90s. I think it was accidental. I'm still trying to get over it. But we're gonna let that one slide. But the thing about it is that in this profession, we rely on our support group. And over the past 29 years, I've had the opportunity to develop a bond and a friendship with Bill that is unlike many others that I have with anyone in the police department, and spend time with his wife and his two boys and go on vacations and do countless events and visit. And they come to my house and I go to their house. And it's very bittersweet to see him retire. Bill clearly has a passion for motorcycles, as he's probably the longest running motor that we've ever had at Redondo Beach PD, at least that I'm aware of. And I went to motorcycle school with Bill in the year 2000 at LAPD Motorcycle School. And it was probably the hardest school I've ever been to. I'm nowhere near the caliber motorcycle rider that Bill is. And I didn't understand his true passion for it. But there was one day we were doing trail riding, and one of the other people in our group had somehow managed to flip a motorcycle upside down. It was stuck in this giant bush. And we were trying to get the motorcycle out of the bush. And I hear one of the other instructors yell, "Slow down, cowboy." And I turn and I look and I see Bill Turner sliding sideways down the hill on his motorcycle. And it was that point that I knew that motorcycle enforcement was truly the passion for Bill Turner. So it's been, he's had an incredible career. It's because of him that we have such a successful traffic program. He's been absolutely instrumental in all the training that we go through. And he's really been a fixture at the department. I mean, they say cats have 9 lives, and then there's Bill Turner. It's incredible how resilient this man is and what he has come back from multiple times and endured throughout the course of his career to be standing here before you today, literally out there 30 minutes ago riding his motorcycle around. I saw him driving down PCH earlier with his lights and siren on, going to a car accident. I mean, the work ethic that he has serves as a model for every single member of this organization. So Bill, thank you so much for your dedicated commitment to the city of Redondo Beach, but more important, thanks for being my friend.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank council. I'm just a guy that likes motorcycles and found a job where I could actually ride one and get paid. I just want to thank my friends, my partners, and my peers. Be safe out there, or safety third, as I like to say.
Yes. Chief, appreciate it.
Suddenly you need to.
That's fine. Okay, presentations. All right, as we approve the order agenda, Councilmember Horvath, are you online there?
I'm here.
Are you, I just want to confirm that you have posted the agenda?
Yeah, posted last Friday.
Posted last Friday. Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Thank you. Okay, approval of order agenda. Does anyone want to change anything around, or
Very little to change around.
is there a motion?
Let's move that one item.
To the front.
To the front? Yeah, let's move it, yeah.
Is there a motion?
usual.
Is there a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Perfect, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, do we have any blue folder? I believe we have one blue folder item.
Yes. So we have one blue folder item for public participation on non-agenda items for public communication. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Get a motion to put that into the record.
So moved. Second.
Fantastic. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next up, consent calendar.
Right, our announcements.
Announcement. We didn't do announcements for community. Sorry. We can do that right now. Councilmember Lowenstein.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Nierenheim. There won't be a District 2 community meeting in December, giving everybody a holiday break, but we'll be back in January. Wishing everybody a happy holiday season out there. Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa. I will say, and I'll let Councilmember Obaji talk about this, but I was at the open house at the Galleria the other night, talking about the future of the Galleria, and I'm very excited for the renovation and modernization of the Galleria, and good turnout. So if you wanted to talk about it, Councilmember Obaji, feel free to. But thank you again. Again, happy holidays, everybody.
All right, Councilmember Horvath.
Just happy holidays, happy New Year to everyone, and be safe.
Thank you, sir. All right, Councilmember Obaji.
All right. Yes, we had last week, Thursday, we had a open house holiday get together at the Galleria, soon to be South Bay Social District. Thank you, Councilmember Lowenstein, for coming out, the city manager, and a lot of commissioners, actually, almost like one commissioner from every commission. Next year, the space where they're hosting the model of what the South Bay Social District is going to look like is going to be open to the public. So I encourage anybody who hasn't got to see it yet, next year, go up. It's third floor next to the AMC, just to the right. It's the office there. I also encourage any other council members to host their district community meetings there, because the more people we can get in the space, who knows who has a connection to a retail store that could be interested in leasing space there. And that's really the only roadblock between them moving on construction, is getting the financing, which they need to get to a certain amount in leasing. With that said, want to wish everybody a happy Hanukkah and a Merry Christmas. We were just outside lighting the menorah here for the city. And just as we're getting started, police cars go by with sirens. Firefighters run off into their fire trucks and turn on their sirens and go out. And that's really to make the point. Thank you to all our first responders and our public works staff that are working 24/7 through the holidays. Firefighters especially, away from their families, having to have their families come to the firehouses. We appreciate your service and sacrifice. That's it. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember MD.
I'd like to say thank you to Public Works for the lighting of all the trees down Artesia Boulevard. They look quite nice, and I appreciate that they do that every year. And congratulations to, I believe they're calling themselves Grub House. They got approved at planning on McKay and Artesia Boulevard. It'll be a 16 restaurant, kind of a ghost kitchen type of ideal. And so they've gotten approved by planning. Congratulations to them as well. Thank you.
All right. So I got a couple announcements, a couple of things to bring up. I had my community meeting last night with our police traffic enforcement, Lieutenant Corey King and Captain Naylor, regarding specifically e-bikes. And it was really well attended. I had people actually across from the entire South Bay showing up. I saw the registrations, saw the names I recognized from other cities. We had an hour and a half long discussion really about e-bikes specifically. It is a hot topic, especially with the kids and kids using them, the different types of e-bikes. I really want to thank the police department for taking their time on a Monday night with great community involvement. You know, there's going to be a lot more coming forward with this program of education and specifically enforcement. You know, we just talked about one of our employees retiring after a long time in traffic and safety enforcement. And let me tell you, the community is really sees what's going on. So those of you that are buying e-bikes this year, be well aware that the community is watching your kids using the e-bikes, and adults. Don't forget the adults. Adults are having a lot of fun, let's just say, with those e-bikes. And wanted to talk about real quick about City Hall. City Hall, first of all, the Spark of Love is still going on. So if you have an unwrapped toy, bring it to any fire station in conjunction with ABC 7. If you have any extra toys you maybe bought a couple extra items with, bring it down to any one of the 2 fire stations that we've got and drop it off there. The last thing here regarding the city services and things that's happening, city services, we are closing. City Hall is going to be closing tomorrow, 5 p.m., closing Thursday. We won't be back open again until Tuesday, January 3rd, our annual holiday closure during that time. And I just want to let you know that our street sweeping is still going, so make sure you move your cars. And trash pickup is still happening, so get your trash cans out Monday through Friday. And of course, the old Christmas tree items. So Athens will be picking up the Christmas trees, but you can't have any tinsel, can't have any decorations, have it out on your curb, ready to go for pickup on that. And it will be picking up until mid to end late January. So keep that in mind. So with that said, onwards to the consent calendar. So we've got 13 items on the consent calendar tonight. We're going to approve every single one of these items on the consent calendar as is. We'll allow one of the council members to pull one of the items. If anyone wants to come down and speak to any of the consent calendar items, you're more than welcome to. And I'll give you 3 minutes. If someone pulls it, you'll get that as well. So Councilmember Lowenstein, would you like to pull anything?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Horvath, would you like to pull anything?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Baji, would you like to pull anything?
No, thank you.
Councilmember MD, would you like to pull anything?
No, thank you.
Awesome. All right. Any members of the public, any cards, anyone want to speak to any of the items on the consent calendar? Any Zoom comments?
Check here. I have no Zoom comments and I have no comments.
And no e-comments.
Motion
All right.
approved.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second to approve all items?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Is there anything to read for those?
Just 8-6, adopt by title only resolution number CC-2212-115, a resolution City Council City of Redondo Beach, California, leasing certain property to Electric Rides LLC. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So this brings us to the fun part, the non-agenda items. Anyone can come on down for 3 minutes and speak to us on anything that's not on the agenda. You get 3 minutes. And we will not be responding to anything you say. We can ask for some clarification if you'd like. If we need to ask for any clarification, we limit this to 30 minutes. Hopefully it won't get that long. It's 6:31. We'll say 6:32 in case there are a bunch of comments, people coming down. So we will start off with orange cards first, then go to non-orange cards, and then we'll go to Zoom comments. So do we have any orange cards?
No orange cards for this item.
All right. Are there any members of the public who want to come down and speak in person to non-agenda items for 3 minutes? Any takers? Anyone's? All right. Got one taker.
And Council, candidacy for PC District 3. I am here to share my candidacy for District 3 council race that's happening on March 7th, and want to introduce myself. I've been a proud member of this community for a very long time. I've lived in this community for about 13 years. I've served on various city commissions, various county positions, and really excited to run for District 3. I have a myriad of priorities that are going to be very important to me. Of the most priority are one of the things that I really want to focus on is focusing to ensure that the metro goes down Hawthorne Boulevard, revitalizing Artesia Boulevard, and ensuring that we continue to build and develop alongside our community and ensure that it keeps our beach town character. So you can catch me out knocking on doors, or you can check out my website at www.candiceforcouncil.com, and look forward to meeting all of you along the campaign trail.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Going twice? All right. Zoom comments?
Okay, let's see. Let's see if anybody would like to speak on Zoom. Please raise your hand. At this time, I have none, so there's none. And there's one e-comment.
One e-comment.
For the record. Yes.
For the record.
that's it.
All right, thank you. All right, going 3 times. No one's running in? All right, very good. We're going to close that now. Cool. Onwards to the next item, which is actually city manager items.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Nothing too much to report tonight. Want to say thank you for mentioning earlier the holiday closure, which will begin on Thursday. A reminder to our building community, if you have items that are pressing, please reach out to our staff tomorrow before end of business day. And as I said last week, we will continue to process materials that are submitted electronically over the course of the break upon our return. So please get in here tomorrow if you have any questions at the counter. It's very important that you do. And that way we can avoid any confusion as it pertains to 2019 building code requirements versus 2023, which will be changing come January 1. So that's one point. Other than that, happy holidays. I want to thank you all for what was a great and very busy year. Look forward to 2023. We will be also, not to get too excited, we'll have a fairly light agenda January 3rd when we return. 1 discussion item, maybe 2. Fairly light consent calendar agenda. We are at this point not planning to have a meeting on January 10th. We're planning to be dark on the 10th in exchange for the scheduled public hearing on January 24th to address the Catalina project. That said, we will have a very robust January 17th agenda. So please be ready to get back to serious work at that point. So happy holidays, everybody.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, so this brings us to our only item on the agenda, P1, and this is discussion possible action regarding the discontinuation of membership of the League of California Cities, Cal Cities. I'll just kind of start off with this and saying, Mayor Brand regrets that he's unable to be here today. He's actually on a flight to Houston for to deal with his treatment. And, speaking for him, I'll tell you, and knowing him now for 7+ years on the council level, his unrelenting zeal for development and zoning spills over to the state issues as well as they've come down here to the local side. And he has lots of words to talk about and a great long history to talk about how he's tried to control the zoning issue. And I'll tell you on his behalf, he's listened to a lot of people, and he said a few words to me today that has said, rather than making up his mind, which he already has, thought he had made up, he's willing to listen and entertain the conversation going forward. And I believe he's talked to other members of the council, but I'm not sure. So we'll go from there. But Mr. Wazanski, do you have any staff items to this particular item? There's no real report other than what City of Torrance has done, and I did watch that entire council meeting.
Yes, this, as you know, was an item that was a referral made at the end of the last week's meeting. It's here before you tonight for discussion and possible action. We have representatives here, I think, who would like to speak to this item from Cal Cities. The materials in the report speak for themselves. This is really a discussion of the council on a policy basis and whether or not we want to continue our membership with Cal Cities.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, so speaking, kind of my thoughts, thinking right now on this, I got here because of development. And in 2015 and 2016, I was right down there at that podium fighting for residents and on behalf of residents as an activist. And there were a lot of people who were calling us names, making fun of us, saying things about a certain development project in District 1 that we fought really hard for. And people said to us that you'll never succeed. And we were successful. And a lot of the people that were outside of the city saying things to us are now in very influential seats outside the city. And so for me, and just so you guys know, I'm being sued personally and individually by developers. And so when it comes to this conversation, there's a reason why Mayor Brand, myself, some others feel very strongly about standing up against others coming into our community and taking over our rights in the community. And, I see both sides of the equation. I understand why it's so important to fight against the state legislators that are doing what they're doing. And I do see the value of staying together and moving forward. But I will say, as I said to some people on the phone today, there comes a time where you can talk about it, and there's times you need to make something actually happen. And this council has been resolute these last many years with fighting the state, lawsuits, standing up, and being very vocal. And we've been making things happen unanimously on this council. So it's very near and dear to all of our heart. So I'd like to hear, if I have two speakers here, Councilmember Obaji.
Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem. I also spoke with the mayor, and he asked me to also pump the brakes a little bit and basically direct our staff to not cut our membership check in January like we would every other year, but to wait and reconvene this hearing in about a month's time to see what the Cal Cities comes up with. But I am pro balanced development. And what balanced development to me is commercial development in the right spaces that generates sustainable revenue for a community, coupled with an appropriate density of residential development in the appropriate locations, next to transit, next to freeways, so on and so forth. What's happening at the state level is the state is telling us you need to put housing in the second most dense city on the coast of California. You need to put way more housing. And on top of it, they're doing absolutely nothing to support us. Our police need a raise. Every member of our city staff needs a raise. What is the state doing to get us the money for the raise? Absolutely nothing. What they're doing is they're causing us a liability because we take on residents. Now we've got to provide police, public works, and fire services to those residents. We've got to provide, people at the planning counter for the developers who want to build those residences. So the current model is not sustainable. Sacramento is broken, has gone totally in favor of development without even considering the affordability of the residential developments that it's inducing to be built. And it's taking our control away. So to that end, I haven't been engaged. The other thing is this, we're 5 city council members. Everybody's got to hold a full-time job. There's a part-time thing. I think in District 5, we're going to have another council member unopposed who's got a full-time job as a litigator. We don't have time to be part of every organization. And the only way that we can make full use of an organization is if we have a council member who's fully engaged with it. Mayor Pro Tem is president of ICA. It seems like the members of ICA are in lockstep with regard to opposing the state stripping us of control. But Cal Cities, all I keep hearing about is they voted down the mayor's constitutional amendment once. They voted it down twice. We're not even, asking them to lobby the state legislature. Just let's get an initiative on the ballot for the residents of the state of California to vote on it. So at this time where we feel the need to increase pay to our staff and to take care of our finances going into recession, saving $20,000 or whatever the membership fee is sounds really amazing to me. But I'm willing to push this on to January to consider it further. That's it. Thanks.
All right, Councilmember Lowenstein.
Yeah, I was the one who actually brought this in front as a referral. And I'll tell you why in a second. I'm not going to get into a lot of details about the state's policies. Many of you know our opposition to the state's policies as a former school board member, what this does to our schools, all the things, traffic, everything else, doesn't even solve the affordability problem. But I attended the league's conference in Long Beach in the fall. And let me tell you, I came in with an open mind, fairly open mind, and I left incredibly discouraged. I was sitting in the policy committee meeting that was talking about perhaps supporting the resolution of the constitutional amendment. There was a room mostly full of electeds, and the belittling I saw of the position from the policymakers there made me incredibly discouraged. They didn't even want to look at what was talked about. I was incredibly, incredibly frustrated by that. They basically didn't pay attention to any of the speakers, and they tried to ramrod it through in terms of shutting things down. Then I was the voting member for the council, and I was at the luncheon. And I watched what happened there where people were trying to talk about debate and it was shut down by the board and it was shut down by other members. And that's incredibly frustrating. If we as a council shut down all debate here, we would be pilloried in the press. But it was fine to do that at the league's, for your own membership. Your own membership shut down all debate and you saw a room full of people, a third of them were groaning. That tells you have a problem. And only since Torrance and now we decided to withhold funds are people paying attention, that there's a large percentage of people that are unhappy how the league's representing them. And I feel for you guys because, you have a lot of different constituencies. You have to please a lot of people. It's a nearly impossible task. But this goes beyond just the league. It goes to the membership. And the fact that people are not listening to the problems that we're having. The problems in Redondo Beach are different than the problems in Pleasanton, which are different than the problems in Yorba Linda, which are different than the problems in San Francisco. But as a state, and this is a nonpartisan issue, we ignore what our elected officials are saying locally. And that's a real problem. That's a real problem. And I'm really saddened that we have to get to the point where we have to withhold money as a membership to prove a point, because that's not necessary. That shouldn't be the case. We should listen to what people have to say, give it serious consideration, debate it out, and then decide steps forward. But that didn't happen at the league's conference. And I think it's shameful. I think it's really shameful. And so I've talked to other elected officials. I did talk to Mayor Brand today. I'm willing to give this a little bit of a break. But I don't know if my opinion's going to change, because what I'm pretty much going to hear, I think, is we're going to put this to a committee. And that does nothing. We've seen what committees do. It's been committeed to death already. And there was nothing that came out of it. Somebody said at the policy meeting, well, we have to actually define what local control is. If your own organization's mission has protecting local control in it, then how do we have to even define what local control is? So I'm just incredibly frustrated that the league hasn't taken a stance, that you need to listen to your membership, because I realize that not everybody will love this opinion. A lot of people support what Sacramento is doing. Again, it's a nonpartisan issue. I happen to be a Democrat. I'm really appalled by what Sacramento is doing. They're not listening to people. So you have people from all political persuasions here that take different stances on a lot of things, but on housing and local control, they agree. And so, I really hope people don't glance over this. If we do take a break for a month, I hope you guys really go to work at this. You hear what we're saying, that I know you're in a tough position, but don't ignore a minority, supposedly a minority. It's probably a majority of people when you come down to it, what they're saying, because it's incredibly important. If the league cannot allow debate, then the league isn't helpful at all. And so that's kind of how I feel. I appreciate you all coming down here. It's really helpful for us to see that you care. But beyond that, I'd like to see action. I'd like to see this vigorously debated with the league and not shut down, because I think that was a real mistake. You don't shut people down. It gives them more frustration and builds anger. And I think it was a real mistake by the board allowing it to happen at that conference. I don't think I've ever seen that happen in a public setting like that. So, but I thank you all for being here.
All right, Councilmember Undy.
Just for anybody who's watching on this, there's a lot of things the League of California Cities also did that saved us. If it wasn't for them and their help with SB 415, I don't think we would have gotten very far on that. And we won against the state because of the support that we got from the league. SB 9, they're supporting us with that as well. And my experience when I was the league representative for this council is that you would go and the policy committees are made up by elected officials. The league, when you talk about the league not supporting, the league is made up of members. It's not that there's a overarching person who's demanding what the different policies are. They're basically generated by the electeds that are members of that league. So I just wanted to balance that conversation a little bit, that is, that I've seen a lot of positive things come out of our membership with league. And it sounds like I'm not going to go into what it sounds like, but it's But that's basically what I have to say on that for now.
Councilmember Baji.
Just a quick comment. I
have
think,
my hand
Councilmember Horvath.
I don't see your hand. It doesn't register on my side. Councilmember Horvath.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, just I would just like to provide a different perspective because I hear what Councilmember Obaji is saying, and I hear what Councilmember Lowenstein is saying, and I just want to make comments as somebody who spent 6 years on a policy committee, chairing a policy committee at the league. So I see value in Cal Cities, and I always have. There's been serving in a policy committee capacity. It's a democratic process. So I wasn't at the vote as Todd was, but I've been the voting delegate sometimes in previous years at the conference, and I've heard groans before on votes. I've heard people frustrated. I get it. Listen, we are all frustrated. At what I guess we could delicately call the overreach of Sacramento in many ways. But I think it would be extremely short-sighted to lose one of our partners, even if they are not necessarily lockstep with what the wishes of this council would be. There are going to be times as a result of that democratic process that Councilwoman MD was just referring to, where all the cities don't agree. And, the league represents well over 400 cities. So when I have been in policy committee meetings where there have been really important things that we are discussing and we cannot find necessarily concurrence. And so something is left on the table or it's kicked, to the next year. I don't think that diminishes the value of what is discussed, but it is part of a democratic and what is oftentimes a very messy process. And I would say at the conference, the idea of kicking it back to committee, which I hear is frustrating for Councilmember Lowenstein, at least gives it an opportunity for electeds and representatives from all these cities to really hash this out in a more serious manner, if that is what is being asked of this council and or other cities. Sacramento is complex. That's why we have a lobbyist. That's why we also use Cal Cities to help us navigate that. I wouldn't want to be, Jason Ryan, the housing lobbyist right now, because it's got to be incredibly frustrating with the amount of bills that he has to try to navigate, deal with, and then try to bring some type of consensus coming from the local entities on their part to them. So I'm glad that there seems to be a willingness to at least as the comment was made, pump the brakes on this. I would recommend that we continue to find positive ways that Cal Cities can communicate with us about how they are trying to effectuate change. I don't know that anybody right now can stop what is, as I see, a steamroll, at the Sacramento level for change, in these laws that are stripping local control and not necessarily creating true affordable housing. So I appreciate you guys listening, but I just want you to understand that I have a different perspective on this, and I don't see them as the enemy, and I hope you wouldn't as well. Thank you.
Thank you. So one of the things I was talked about to Mayor Brand about this issue over the last couple of days is he reminded me that, I said to him, what about the National League? And he said, we used to be a part of that here at Redondo, National League of Cities. And Mayor Jin at the time didn't see the value and brought that conversation to the council as to why we're a part of this. And I don't know what year it was, but they decided to stop being a part of the National League because this value just wasn't there. And, just so everyone knows, even if you're not a part of the league, California, Cal Cities, or the National League, you can still go to the events. You can still go to the big event in September, and for the National League in November. It just costs a few bucks more. And I thought that was an interesting, concept. I know ICA did the same thing. For me, it's not about one instance. It's about a multitude of instances. And is the value there overall? that's the question that we need to be answering for ourselves internally here in Redondo Beach. Is the value there overall worth it? Because it's not just about one issue. Councilmember Baji.
Sure. Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem. That was a good. I just looked up the National League. It's looks interesting. We made a resolution that we would identify if there were public comments, and there is one public comment. It was by Councilmember Mike Griffith from Torrance, basically stating a lot of the same things that we've said here, including the fact that, look, we wouldn't be leaving forever. We could come back, but we'd be making a statement, which is important for us to make. And I do think that potentially, the membership's systemically flawed in a way that's not going to maybe ever align with the city of Redondo Beach, because if your members are all electeds and all those electeds want to join the state government, and the money in the state government is coming from the developers who are going to benefit and make fistfuls of money by building residential development, then maybe they're going to continue to cater to those interests, and they're not going to line up with those interests of Redondo Beach. So I'd make a motion to continue this discussion to the last meeting in January, maybe with that public hearing, if we can, and direct staff not to cut the check for $32,122 to Cal Cities until you get further direction from council.
I'm fine with seconding it, but I'm not fine with the hearing date. I think
Okay.
maybe the 17th, well, that might be a possibility, or maybe the first meeting in February.
Maybe first meeting in February would
All right, sure.
probably be
First meeting in
better.
February, yeah.
Just
There you
given
go.
the timing.
All right.
Yeah, I second it. I just want to make a clarification. I don't have any problem with a democratic process. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with debate. I'm fine with being on the losing end of a vote. Gosh knows I've been on the losing end of a vote for 6 years of being on the council, right? But what I do have a problem with is cutting off debate, and that's what happened. That's exactly what happened. You sometimes call to a vote after you've had vigorous debate. We didn't even get to that point where we could have any debate. It was just basically a call to a vote. And I think that was wrong. If any of you were here, even if you disagreed with the fact that, maybe putting the league in the middle of this is wrong, it was not democratic. And that's what my biggest issue was with this, was it was specifically meant to cut off all debate. It was not discussed. And the groan was not from losing a vote. The groan was not even having any type of debate. And it's pointless to even be a voting member if you can't have debate and listen to both sides. So we didn't even have that. So I think that was where my concern and my frustration was. And I don't think it was the right way of handling it. And it ended up making people a lot more mad that didn't have a chance to at least air about what the resolution was. So, I think we all here are in favor of listening to both sides to arguments. And then we decide based on a vote which path to take. But it's not what happened at the voting session at the league meeting in the fall.
Okay. Cards. Thank you. All right. So first up, we got Ali, president of Cal Cities, and after that, Carolyn.
Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council, it really is a pleasure to be the audience. My name is Ali College. I'm the city council member, city of Artesia, as well as I have the honor to serve as the president this year and next year for League of California Cities. Truly honored to be here. I stand here today not only as a president, but also a friend and a colleague who understands the importance of local control. Local control is our mission at Cal Cities, and we fight for local control. Our organization is a 125-year-old organization, and out of those 125 years old, 80 years, you've been a member. And we've been together in trenches, and we fought battles together. And that's the message I bring today. Redondo Beach is an integral member of Cal Cities, but our fight is not over yet. We have some serious challenges ahead of us in the court, and your attorney can actually talk about that, Councilmember earlier referred to. The measure, especially the California Business Roundtable, which I had a chance to speak with some of the council members, is going to be added in 2024 ballot, which is a very important issue that we all need to be together. My message is very simple and very clear that we all need to put the fight together. And we are stronger in our fight against efforts to take away local control. When we are united, divided Cal cities can't be strong advocate of our cities' need in political environment. Redondo Beach needs Cal cities, and our cities need Redondo Beach. We're always together, stronger. That's my message. And tonight, my ask is very simple. Let's continue this item and give us time to really continuously make collaboration and conversation. Tonight, also with me is Executive Director and the President and the CEO, Carol Coleman, who actually flew from Sacramento because we are taking this matter seriously. Tonight with me is Melanie, who is the Deputy Executive Director, who also flew from Sacramento. Tonight also representing LA Division is B. Duranger, who is the Vice President for League of California Cities LA Division. So we are very, very serious about this, and we want to make sure that we collaboratively work together. With that, I'm going to turn it over back to Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Carolyn, come on up. After that is Pia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, and good evening, council members. I also want to say congratulations to all of the honorees tonight. How inspiring, and certainly reminds me of the reason why I have spent a good 20 years supporting local governments. I'm here today on behalf of the 478 other cities who are members of Cal Cities. And we're here urging Redondo Beach to continue its membership. Cal Cities is the largest and the only statewide organization protecting local control for cities, not only in the legislature, not only in Congress, but also at the ballot box and in the courts. We advocate for the common interest of cities, but we also offer unmatched educational programs for mayors, for council members, as well as for your appointed city staff, including your city attorney, your city manager, the clerk, and a host of others. I agree with all of you that building stronger communities means having the power to make your own decisions. Since 1898, and I see you were here in 1892, you may have been one of the original members of Cal Cities. Since 1898, that has been Cal Cities' mission. And for over 80 years, you've been with us advocating for cities and participating in our programs. Members of the council have participated in our annual conferences, served in leadership and membership roles in our committees. You have received support from Cal Cities in the courts several times, and currently there's a case pending. And you joined Cal Cities in calling on Governor Newsom to veto SB 9, the latest in a string of bills eroding local control. When the state legislature comes back in January, we are bracing for yet another round of bills threatening local control, not just in land use, but also in other areas of local government. Cal Cities plans to be there to fight for your city and other cities, but we need Redondo Beach to be there with us. In the current political climate, with one party holding supermajorities in the legislature, if we are divided, we will lose. If we are together, we have a shot at winning. Ali talked about some other threats at the ballot box, the California Business Roundtable measure, which I truly believe is the anti-local control measure that we all must be focused on. We look forward to getting Redondo Beach, as well as many more cities, a part of our coalition, to oppose this measure in 24. It's going to take money and resources and time. I want you to know that Cal Cities is also exploring the feasibility of running its own ballot measure in 24 to protect and enhance local land use authority. We have a long track record of success at the ballot box, so we know what it takes to win and be successful at the ballot box. And we'll have more to say as the research and the polling and the lawyers get to work on this in early 2024. To close, let me say this. While not every city, not every council member or mayor will agree on every position Cal Cities takes, I assure you that the positions that we arrive at become the foundation for our advocacy and are the result of a member-driven process. That process reflects our fundamental belief that cities in California are stronger when we work together. We urge Redondo Beach to retain its membership, and I look forward to answering your questions. Thank you for having me tonight, and happy holidays.
Thank you. All right, Bea, you're next, and then after that, Melanie.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members of City of Redondo Beach. As mentioned, my name is Bea Derringer, and I've been a council member in the city of Rolling Hills since 2013. And since then, I've been representing my city both on Cal Cities, the California Contract Cities, and the South Bay COG. And I'm on 3 legislative committees with all 3 of those organizations. And so, and as recently mentioned, since August, I'm now the vice president of the LA division. So I have become acquainted with your mayor, Bill Brand, ever since I ended up getting frustrated with what was happening with SB 9. When all of us city officials were clamoring, you need to listen to us, we are having issues, and I was seeing that it was falling on deaf ears. And I said, we need to take this to the people. And so I talked in the COG, didn't get much support to organize something officially, but in a few weeks, I got people I knew, and we ended up on August 7th, 2021, doing a town hall Zoom meeting to inform constituents all over the state of California about what was happening in the hopes that they would simply pummel the legislature with calls and emails and saying against SB 9. There were tons of calls, and they know that everybody was, like 70% of their constituents were against it, but unfortunately, they still voted in favor of it. But it was after that that your mayor, Bill Brand, contacted me and said, thank you for doing that. We had like 1,100 people participating on that call, and it was only organized in a few weeks. But I say that to say this, I am an ardent proponent of local control. And people who know me know that I am very strong in that regard. And so I have shared the frustrations that you've been speaking about. But I want to let you know that I've also been very open with the Cal Cities administration and staff and telling them about the concerns. And I've gotten some positive feedback, not just feedback, but action. For example, I share Councilmember Lowenstein's concerns about what happened at the annual meeting. And I've spoken to staff from Cal Cities and the executive director who joined us and said, hey, we're hearing some pushback, we're hearing some concerns. And I said, yes, that is correct. And these need to be addressed. So they actually set up a governance committee, and I know committees, but this is the Cal Cities way. They study everything, okay? I'm just saying, it is a big organization. It's like moving a large ship. But again, they took action and said, we don't want to see that happen again. We need to look and see how can we readjust this so that it's not happening, for example, when people are having to get out the door to catch their flight to Northern California because it was in Long Beach, for example, and that there is a debate. Because as an attorney, I'm a big proponent of due process. And so that's what I said. We need to have due process. People need notice and a hearing, opportunity to be heard. But that's what I see. What they're trying to do now is, in essence, to me, a request for due process. They want an opportunity to be heard back from their standpoint with the city of Redondo Beach and to hear the concerns you have and be able to say, hey, let's dialogue about those and see how we can address them. And we'll see. But that's what I told Bill. I said, let's see what happens. But at the very least, I think it is important to give them a chance. And I'm working, you can call me anytime. I give you all my cell number. You can contact me. Everybody has it. It's probably on the internet. And if not, call my city and they'll give it out to you. But basically, I'm here to help because I feel the same way you do. and I'm trying to address it, but I'm working internally. And so I just want to extend that to you and let you know that let's work together. Let's see what we can do to make everything a win-win, if at all possible, for both Cal Cities as well as your city and my city and all of us here, not only in the South Bay, but in the state of California. Thank you.
Thank you. And just so you know, B, your conversation with Bill is probably it was one of the reasons that the tide stopped moving the way it was. So
Well,
he
yeah,
really cherished that conversation you had with him.
thank you. Thank you.
That's not easy to do for Mayor Brad.
I realize that, but he knows I talk the talk and I walk the walk.
I know.
So again, and I appreciate him, and I know he's pretty much the same way. And so thank you all for considering my comments and considering Bill's reaction to my comments, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Wait, question. So if you're going to do this governance committee to make sure this doesn't happen again, I know how long these kind of things take. Is the first week of February even a possibility that any kind of resolution will happen by then?
And not on the governance committee. Governance is going to, all the time I've been a member of Cal City since 2013 for my city, I've never seen anyone utilize that provision in the bylaws.
Okay.
And so I think it kind of caught, my feeling is like caught people by surprise, and we haven't studied this, and this type of reaction came about. But this is to address that issue in the bylaws, to tweak that so that if someone were to do that, or if there is an issue that comes up at the annual meeting, one of the suggestions was made, don't make that annual meeting where we're making decisions on resolutions be the very last thing at the conference, because then you have an internal conflict with people needing to leave, and you're not getting a robust discussion. There's an urgency for people to get out just to make their flight or whatever. So, but that's a continuing thing, but at least they said, we're going to do something. We're going to try to see how can we change what this system is for the annual meeting so that this scenario does not recur in that fashion, because they heard the comments and I personally have been the one voicing some concerns as well. So I wanted to let you know that, you've got somebody here that is listening and feels the same way. So just let me know whatever I can do to help, because I'm here for you. Okay?
Thank you. All right, Melanie.
Good evening, Council. The Deputy Executive Director of Advocacy and Public Affairs at the League of California Cities. I really appreciate hearing all your remarks tonight, and clearly the word that's coming through for me is frustration. And I can say assuredly, as an organization, we are frustrated, and I personally am frustrated about how the process and the experience was at the annual conference, and specifically the General Assembly. We hear you, and we hear all the other cities that are raising their voices right now, but that process did not meet the expectation for voting delegates and for our member cities. What we are committed to doing is changing this process and making those changes at our next annual conference, which is next September in Sacramento. Councilmember MD, you had referenced the question to Councilmember Derringer, and I do want to clarify that our governance committee is a committee of our board. The governance committee is currently doing work into this process, and the board will be having its first opportunity to explore and discuss what does a new process look like, an improved process for our September annual conference. So I can't emphasize this enough. You do have our commitment that the process is being examined, and there will be changes to improve the experience and opportunity for debate and for all our cities to be heard during those critical moments, helping set policy forth for the League of California Cities so we can go and advocate on your behalf every single day in Sacramento and at Congress. We're always looking for ways to improve. I think that was again referenced. And so we are always interested in this feedback, and this is really critical for us. So we do take this to heart. As a person who staffs the General Assembly, believe me, I've heard different ideas and opportunities that we have here, and we are committed to making that happen. We will be beginning, just in regards to some of the ballot measures that our Executive Director just discussed. That effort will start early next year and will go for the next few months. However, we're to go and look at a 2024 ballot measure, we have to be looking at it now, and that is what we're doing, and you have our commitment in that. So with that, I just want to say thank you again for the opportunity to be here and present and connect with all of you this evening, and wishing you happy holidays.
Thank you. I got a couple questions for all you guys. Jeff Kiernan said a few words about, and I remember this back in 2018, about I think a ballot measure or an item. So, there's not enough time to move this thing forward in 2018. And we'll come back in 2020 and, nothing happened. Now we're in 2022. And one of the items that was spoke about at the city council meeting in Torrance was actionable items that are happening in the next few months. So I got to ask you guys, what has changed in the last 2-3 months? Really changed in the last few months that is substantive and actionable?
That's an excellent question, and thank you for that question. Over the course, just by way of background, over the course of the last year, several of our policy committees that Bea has referenced and that others have been reviewing and analyzing, debating, and discussing the local control measure that Mayor Brand and others have been proponents of. They spent hours reviewing the measure. They made a recommendation to our board. They could not fully embrace the measure as written because of some unintended consequences. I'm happy to go into details at some other time about why there was caution in terms of fully embracing that measure. As a result of that effort throughout 2022, the board of directors has directed the staff to explore the feasibility of putting our own ballot measure on in 2024. We believe the timing lines up right to do that, so that as we undertake the exploration with research, with polling, assessing who our allies might be with that, assessing how we would raise the money, the millions and millions of dollars it would take to be successful at the ballot. We believe we have a window between now and perhaps June or July of 2023 to make that determination. I wouldn't want to be trying to go to the ballot much past the summer of 2023. So I believe we line up well with the calendar in terms of doing the research that's necessary to determine how to be successful at the ballot. We didn't have that information as a part of the local control ballot measure. I did not personally see any polling related to that. I didn't see any studies of the feasibility of raising the money to fund at least the $15 million to gather those signatures. I have been directed by the board of the league to do that exploration and make those investments so that we could answer the question, if we are going to take something to the ballot in 2024, what would a successful measure look like in terms of, do we have a path or a way to navigate victory on that? So what has changed for me personally is I have had a board that says we're clear on this and we want the League of California Cities to explore the feasibility of a ballot for 2024. Is that responsive to your question?
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I got a question for you, actually. So part of, and I want to draw a clean line distinction for people to understand. There's the League of California Cities, the organization itself, which does a lot, which is one action. But then there's the voting membership, really, which makes up the direction of where things are going. And you as a president, you set the tone, but there's only so much you can do, right? With the membership, if they believe a certain way, and members are they, beholden to whatever interest, or they want to move forward a different direction, or they just don't believe that they really believe these things are happening. It's free will, right? How do you see things going in the future for Cal Cities in this voting direction that's going to be really changing the local control issue for cities like us that are being hammered by the state and don't have another avenue?
Well, first of all, thank you for that question. I personally come from local control. I fight for local control. For last 9 years, I fought for local control, not being only at Cal Cities, but also being part of the leadership team for contract cities as well. the democratic process that Councilmember stated earlier. It's a democratic process. And myself leading that, obviously everyone has a different opinion. But as far as fighting for local control, my forefront or legislative priorities is to actually fight for local control. In fact, I've been to Sacramento and working with legislative who are the new legislative at this time, and to make sure that we are there in front of their face to make our voices heard. As a president, I lead, yes, but the democratic process is the process that we follow and will continue to follow. And when it comes to membership, I was presiding that meeting, council member, and you were there when there was a call for debate, and there was a majority who said no. I had to go with the majority, frankly, and say yes, there would be no debate. But again, that's the democratic process that I would follow. Frankly, I would say that democratic process was followed.
I'm sorry.
You go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would disagree with you how it was handled. It was a rush by somebody up on the stage to shut it off quickly. I saw people fighting to get, I remember I was sitting next to Councilmember Matucci from Torrance, and he said, I would like to discuss this. And then there was a second, and they were cut off. They were cut off completely. Why were they cut off? Why were they completely? Because, well, it seemed like that there was a rush to get people out. And maybe it's what Ms. Derringer had said, people needed to get to flight. That's the wrong reason. These are long-term issues that affect every city. And if my flight is going to be delayed or late, that's the wrong reason. I don't feel like I'm even there for a reason. If we're cutting off debate and not having a vote, I feel like we're rubber stamping things. So I'd ask you why. And as a side note, by the way, I just wanted to say this at the beginning. I was really moved by your speech, by the way. Your story, your own story is amazing. I wish it were recorded, maybe it is, but your story coming, I think it was from Pakistan, right?
Yes,
And
that's correct.
your story was so inspirational. I thought it was one of the best speeches I've heard in a long, long time, so.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. So earlier it was stated even by B that, I am making changes when I say I'm taking the leadership role to make those changes, that, people are they're going out for their flights.
Yeah.
We are making changes that those times are, we hear everyone. And, I'll tell you this, honestly, the time I left my hotel room
Yeah.
to go to the final assembly meeting, there were 25 people who met. So, how can you get us out early? I said, no, I'm not getting you out early. We'll follow the process, whatever the process is out there. So yes, people are at that time trying to get out early, catch their flight, and do whatever they need to do. Like I said, I can't emphasize enough, we are going through the process to make sure that we hear everyone.
Yeah.
And that's my word, that's my commitment, and I will do whatever it takes to make sure that that happens.
Well, and I want to thank Carolyn and Melanie for talking about bringing this to a measure, especially what you talked about bringing it early next year, because this is a long period of time. But what I saw in the policy committee, if that's any representation, God bless you, but I think it's going to be a very watered down amendment or proposition. I don't see enough agreement. That's okay. You don't get an agreement. That's okay. It's part of the democratic process. But it's when you circumvent the democratic process that I had a problem with. And I think it was ham-handed how it went. It wasn't well received from the people that wanted to hear what they were voting on. And yeah, it was, I believe that the initiative was brought to you at the last moment. That was one of the problems, I think, with all this, right? There was not enough analysis
That's
done.
correct. Yeah.
But I also think that it could have been handled differently. I hope the governance committee works quickly in realigning your installation, other people on the board, figure out a time to do that. But the debate at hand has to happen, or else people are going to leave feeling jilted. And that's what you don't want from your membership. That's what I really wanted to get across by this. I do hope we see some type of movement soon, because my opinion still hasn't changed. I don't believe on this issue that the league is doing a great job of representing our interests. You do great things, as Laura said, but I think this is one thing that there was not enough debate. There really was not enough debate. And I hope that if we go up to Sacramento in September, that it's not a repeat of that, because I'll walk out frustrated and probably never come back again.
I hear you. We hear you.
Yeah.
Loud and clear. That's why we are all here. The leadership team is here to really hear what you're saying.
Great. Thank you.
And we'll take that, and, it has been taken seriously. And it's been taken not seriously, not even tonight. I tell you, it was taken seriously by myself and the leadership team just walking out that Long Beach convention.
Yeah.
So just to know that, we hear you. And there are things that are being done. You may not see them right now, but you will certainly see them.
So, Mr. President, one of the things for me is there was
Call me Ali.
That's right.
Thank you.
Years ago, during the pandemic, 2020, I believe, there was a Zoom meeting regarding supporting the Our Neighborhood Initiative, and there was some made a reference earlier here and made a reference at the Corinth City Council meeting about some opinions on Our Neighborhood Initiative. And, you don't know this about me, but I've helped write an initiative here locally. It passed every single council district in Redondo Beach. And it went on to this California Coastal Commission and got approved at the Coastal Commission. And first one ever in the history of Coastal Commission, voter-led initiative. And then it also went through the court system. I think there were 5 or 7 different specific complaints on there, cause of action that they said conflicts with the city charter and all a bunch of gobbledygook.
Mm-hmm.
And along the way, there was a tremendous amount of gobbledygook.
Yeah.
And I can tell you stories about people in this room who supported and opposed it at the Coastal Commission, on the campaign trail. And I'll tell you, someone who was an activist who helped put that together, I can point to you exactly the pieces that I had a direct hand in, the verbiage, the intent. I'll tell you that the gobbledygook I heard back then was identical to the gobbledygook I heard about Our Neighborhood Voices. Is it perfect? We'll come and find out. Nothing's perfect, right? But you got to move forward with something, and you got to stop making excuses for things. And for me, it's, people need to understand that when the bulldozers show up, it's too late. It's too late. And, one thing I've learned is that you give one basic set of facts to 5 different lawyers, you'll get 10 different opinions. Our city attorney had an opinion on Measure C. He defended it, and we won. Everyone said it would fail. Not everyone. A lot of people said it would fail. They ran a whole campaign against failure on it. But we won, and it went through the Coastal Commission, approved exactly as is, went through the court system, approved. So my point to you is this, is that as me, someone who's been born and bred through activism and getting things done, I need to hear things of real substance, of things that really, truly, don't work in something like the ballot initiative. And right now, what we're getting out of Sacramento is really, really bad. And we need to start moving forward together. So however that happens at the league level, whatever issues that needs to take, it needs to happen. Because I can tell you right now, this city council, we've fought the state and we've won, but we're tired of being the ones with the target on our back, leading the way for everyone else. And we need some real leadership moving forward from some other people, other cities. Whatever that takes, it's going to be a battle. And like I said, you're going to hear a lot of noise, but it needs to be fought by someone. And, like I said, I see both sides of this equation. I really do. I see the value, but I also see the frustration. I felt it. I'm part of it. So, that's it. And I will support this motion right now moving forward. I'm always up for listening, getting more facts, getting more information, but that's where I stand right now on this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I appreciate your comments, and I appreciate everyone's comments tonight. But I do want to assure you that we do have 35 new legislatures. By 24 and 26, this will be a complete turnover. We have executive director and myself and other members have been actually making sure that we are ready and in line to fight for our local issues and local control, especially with the new legislature and a complete turnover in the next 2 years. Local control is our mission statement, and we will continue to fight for it. And as far as I am at the helm of the affairs, you have my word. I will do whatever it takes. Yes, it's my second job, but I am taking it as my first job. I've put my business aside, my business partners. I've told them for a year, I'm not going to work with you. For a year, I'm going to work for Cal Cities. That's where it is. So my second home is Artesia. My first home is Cal Cities in Sacramento. So I just want to let you know that I am very serious. That's the reason not only myself, I'm here, my team is here. Yes.
Councilmember Taj, we've got our most important boulevard in the city named after your city. So we're counting on you.
Absolutely. You have my word. But I really ask you to please, at this time, let's continue our partnership and our dialogue. And not, let's not part ways. Let's continue to work together. That's the humble request I have for you. That's all. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Horvath has his hand up.
Councilmember Horvath.
Yeah, just real quick, I just want to pivot back to the previous question you posited and then also just say that in terms of engagement, I recognize what Councilmember Obaji was saying before, that we're all volunteers, we have limited time, we have jobs, but to me, the reason why I engaged on a policy committee, transportation, communication, and public works, was because I was passionate about that. And, this city, as passionate as it is about housing, we don't have a representative on that housing committee or actually any other committee at this time. And to have a strong voice that is a part of the process and is engaging, it doesn't have to just be housing, because these housing bills affect environmental policy. These housing bills affect TCPW or public safety, right? But having representatives from this council on policy committees and engaging quarterly, and talking, having that opportunity to talk in person or over Zoom with colleagues around the country, or not the country, the state, and present their opinions, I think is important. You made a comment about we can't do this alone. I wouldn't expect it, but if people aren't having the opportunity to hear our voices within that process, then we are doing ourselves a disservice. So I would just recommend that to this body on a go-forward basis. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, sir.
Quick comment just on that. That's a very good comment that Councilmember Horvath made, and I'll be very happy to consider if somebody wants to come on any committee. We have 7 committees across, anywhere from housing to DCWP, community service. So would love to have any one of you to join. We'll be happy to do that, and that will also kind of help you see the process and have a voice on the table. And that's something that, I would really like any one of you to be part of the committee. And yourself, you're the president for ICA. You have committees as well. And that roll up to the board and the president. So again, that's on the table. Would love to have somebody, anyone, everyone to be on the committee. So just wanted to put that on the table. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So anyone else from the members of the public want to come down and speak to this item? All right. And I don't see any other hands up.
I have none from Zoom, and then I just had one e-comment, and they support.
Okay. Perfect. There's a motion on the floor. I'll do a roll call vote because we have one person gone. So
Let me amend the motion to include a discussion when we come back next on if we did maintain our membership, who we would assign to Cal Cities, because I don't even know who our rep is right now. And if it's Councilmember Ramsey,
No,
it's Todd.
I'm the voting rep, but he's talking about a committee.
Yeah, if we do maintain our membership, who we're putting on a committee and what committee?
Well, that's not how it works. Just to clarify, Councilmember Obaji, we don't appoint somebody to a committee. A council member has to, apply, if you will, to be on any of the committees. So all 5 of us could serve on different committees. That's how it works. But we appoint on an annual basis somebody to be the voting delegate. That's the only difference.
Yeah, I support your amendment, and I hear what you're saying, Councilmember Horvath. I think what he really wants to know is there going to be somebody here on the council that is willing to raise their hand moving forward? I'll tell you right now.
Because we don't need to put $32,000 into doing absolutely nothing with our membership. Right.
Yeah.
And it would be, since the motion was to have a discussion, it would be the one chance for you all to have that discussion, that discussion.
Include that agendized so that we don't get accused of improper discussion.
All right. Councilmember, any other comments? Councilmember Horvath, I don't see.
You accept that amendment, Councilmember?
I do.
Okay, Councilmember Horvath, anything else to say?
Nope.
Okay, Councilmember, call the vote. Councilmember Lowenstein.
Aye.
Councilmember Horvath.
Aye.
Councilmember Obaji.
Aye.
Councilmember MD.
No, because I don't think we should leave the league at all.
Okay, and myself, aye as well. So passes 4-1.
And let's clarify that vote was to have a continuing conversation, not to necessarily leave the league.
That's correct.
And not process a check until we have that conversation and have a discussion in February regarding our voting, or excuse me, a
Yes,
person.
we'll bring it back on February 7th. And for the record, I think our dues are closer to $22,000, not
Oh, I
$32,000.
thought, I read that.
That's Torrance.
Torrances were a little higher based on their
Oh, got it,
population.
okay, 22,000. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That clears that item. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming down.
Thank you for flying down. Appreciate it. Enjoy Redondo Beach. Hopefully you stayed here in our wonderful city. We have some great restaurants, spent a lot of money at. Very good. Fantastic. All right. Mayor and council referrals to staff. Councilmember Lowenstein.
I do have one, and that's, and Mr. Webb, I think maybe you can address this. There's a gentleman named John Eastman who's under retainer from the city, not paid retainer, I don't believe. Is it the same John Eastman that was a speaker at the January 6th insurrection, as well as the person who was involved with the electoral scheme?
Yeah, we had this discussion before.
No, but he's still there.
Well, we haven't used him for many, many years. And so you're basing it on what's on the city website. Based on the city website, until I pointed that out, you had city manager Joe Hefkin under active city contract. So I'm working with the clerk to remove inactive people from the active list. So Joe Hefkin was listed even for a year after he left because no one from the council had directed the clerk to remove them. So I'm in the
Other reason to
process.
have a content management system for them.
Yes, it's just everybody's active, even if they're no longer practicing.
Okay, great.
So, and I made the commitment then and will continue to make it that.
It was about a year ago, I guess, but that's not,
Well,
I'm not putting on you.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago, so.
2 years ago,
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we'll be removing at the early in the new year.
Okay, great, thank you. That's it.
All right, Councilmember Horvath.
Yeah, just one quick one. Last week, Commissioner Morocco brought up the Ito family parquet and doing a kind of a early dedication there, especially with the family being elderly and whatnot. It's going to take a while for the other larger things to happen there. And so I would just like to make a referral that we try to do that in the next couple months.
I think if I remember correctly, the conversation was maybe a smaller recognition, some sort of plaque
Right.
or something else, a
Exactly.
commemorative program. We can look at that from staff's perspective, see if there's something we can handle administratively. We'll follow up on that. If we need a referral and a discussion with council as to what the nature of that looks like, I'll go ahead and agendize that for consideration.
Great, thanks. Appreciate it.
All right, Councilmember Obaji.
It's the last meeting of the year and I have no referrals. You done good, Mr. City Manager.
wow.
Kind of nice.
Happy
Here.
holidays, yeah.
Appreciate that. Councilmember MD.
I have none. I wish you all happy holidays.
Thank you very much. All right, I have none either.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, all in favor of adjourning for the last time of the year?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah.